All right. We are live. It's been a while,
Hey,
man.
yeah,
It has been a while.
we've
So
had good excuse to not do this.
we've been fishing. Yeah. You've been continually fishing. How's it been up there, man? Been catching them still?
It's easier now. We're dead in the middle of the spawn, and um, you saw a little of that, but the weather really is. We had that cold front, and but now they've all charged back to their spawning beds, and the wind is laid down. It's been sunny. It's been ideal, really, for spawning fishing, and we're catching 40 or 50 a day on the
Jesus.
beds, and that's with me trying to take a break from it during the day and go fish some other stuff. But yeah, it's pretty locked down right now.
Oh, cool. So what's the weather been like?
Hot. We had I think it was 88 yesterday, and I don't know what it was today. I just got back from dinner. I got off the water, went to dinner, and just got back. It had to be mid 80s anyway, and they're saying 97 Saturday.
97?
97. I'm not kidding, which is ridiculous up here.
That's
But
gotta be
what's
a
gonna
record.
happen if the spawn's gonna finish up quick.
Mm-hmm.
And they're yeah. So, and I'm ready for that. I'm ready to do something different.
Yeah, I thought maybe it would already be finished up, They're
Yeah, there's a wave right now. We saw paired fish today actually going through the ceremony. So there's a wave right now that's going with this warm weather. Then I could be wrong, but I would be shocked if there's another wave behind these. But it's been ideal. I had two guys from Iowa the last couple of days, and they're going home happy.
I bet they are, man. Jeez. We got Jay's in the house, man. I need to give Jay a call. I haven't talked to him in a little while. We got Larry Lee in here. What's up, Larry?
What's up, Jay? What's up, Larry?
Starting to get a few folks showing up. Jay, did you get any storms up there like early this morning? Because it was nuts here about 4 a.m. That's as soon as I got home from work today, I had to go out in the yard and just clean. It looked like a tornado came through. There were sticks all over the road, just little twigs and limbs and branches, and it was nuts. I had to quit and come back in here. And Crystal's still out there kind of picking up stuff. I said, just put it in a pile and I'll pick it up after work tomorrow. So I got to mow the yard anyway. I still got to mow the yard from Mille Lacs. I mowed it right before I left. And it's definitely due. We got Bass Guy 1960 in here. What's up? David's in here. Dude, long time no see, man. Good to see you in here.
Hey.
So yeah, I missed Mille Lacs. It was hard to pull out of the driveway that morning when I left. It was just like, gosh. And then you pull out and you go down.
It's a special place, isn't it? I mean, for real.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's almost a special place before you even get on the lake fishing. It's just one of those areas of the country that's pretty neat. The whole vibe here.
So Dave, why don't you tell everybody in the comments section the kind of days you've been having out here? Dave's been killing them, man. He's been killing them all over the place over there in Southern Illinois. He's just been in the zone.
The same bait?
Yeah, he's been mixing it up a little bit. What's up, Eric? That's a good time. I'm gonna let a few more people get in here, and I'm gonna talk about a couple baits. After this thing loads up. But yeah, I fished first Wednesday night or last night at Cedar. Me and Jerry did, and I hadn't been over there in probably 3 weeks, and my whole goal was to try to stay off the bank. And we hit one point, one little shell bed, and there wasn't anything there. And it hit another little offshore spot, nothing. I was throwing a 6XD, and Jerry was kind of dragging like a hard head. He likes to throw that Oh, the Berkeley Maxon. It's like their creature bait. It's like, I think it's called a creature hog or game hog or something like that. And
Yeah, that's a good bait. I got a
it,
bunch of them.
it is. It's a really good one. And so that didn't work. And then I kept looking at this point, and it's a point I know they get on this time of year, and nobody had fished it. Nobody was fishing it. You know, we're probably we're an hour into the tournament. I kept looking over there, and I'm like, nobody's fishing it. Let's go idle that and look at it. And so we zipped across the lake and we idled it. There was people around it, but they weren't fishing out where they needed to be, or in my opinion, where I usually catch them at. And so yeah, we idled through there, and I saw just a little bit of fish, just a few fish, enough to make me stop. And a lot of times, that's all you need is to see just a couple. And usually when you set down and you kind of chill for a little bit, you'll start seeing more fish show up. And sure enough, we started catching some fish offshore. Boat was sitting in like 18 to 20, and I was throwing up there in about 12 to 14 with a underspin. And we caught, we caught several. We caught 2 overs and 2 unders off that point, and several slot fish mixed in. And then we left to try to upgrade our unders, and we caught, because we had 2 12-inch unders, and we caught one that was about 14 3/4 over there off a short bank. And then we never could get that upgrade. We were stuck with that 12-inch under. We caught several other, 12-inchers, but they, you're sitting there holding them. And you're like, I don't think that's going to help. It's like, half an hour. Maybe. Yeah, just keep fishing. And so we went ahead and weighed in, and we were, I think we had 9.57, 9.59, and 9.75 was the last check. They had 28 boats, I think, 28 or 29 boats.
28.
And they paid, they paid 5 places. And the last spot was like 9.75. So we were probably upgrading that under. Would have got us 3 or 4 more ounces, probably, depending on how fat the under was. So we were right there.
Are the same guys running it?
Yep. Schaefer and Jackson, which they actually got second. And they had, I think they had a high 10 something, or maybe low 11. And then Doan and Powers, once again, they won with like 11.7. So it was 4 fish, so 11.7's, it was kind of tough fishing. There was, 11.7, and then I think third place was 10.6, and then there was a couple 9s, and it just kind of
weights are compacted.
Yeah. It was fun though, but that's, since Eric's on here, I kind of want to show off this bait. And I've showed it before, but I've been fishing it a lot more, and I really think it needs a little bit of recognition, because I've been catching some fish on it, and I'm going to be catching a lot more fish on it. But I started out, the first fish I caught was that's that Hawgz Custom Bait. That swim, I don't even know what they call it. It's like a swim bait with a grub tail, and this is kind of a gizzard shad color. But man, they were really chomping on that thing.
On the underspin?
On the underspin, yeah. And I ended up tearing the head out of it after I caught several fish on it. And then I'm like, crap. You know how it is when you got confidence in something, and then all of a sudden you realize that you forgot to put that bag in your boat. And this was the only one I had, because I took all the hog stuff up to Mille Lacs with me, and I put it all in one container, and I left that container at the house. So this was the only one I had. And I'm like, they're biting this right now. I need one of these. And I looked all over the boat, put it on spot lock, and was digging around. I couldn't find them. So I just threw it on the floor, and Jerry wasn't getting bit. So I rigged up a little dipper, which is, this is such a good little swim bait. But this is one of my confident swim baits. But just the little dipper by Raction Innovations. And it's that blue, I think it's called pearl blue color. So I rigged that up, and luckily I started getting some bites on this too. And next thing you know, Jerry wasn't getting bit, and he tied on a swim bait. And next thing you know, he loaded up, and he was reeling that fish in. And I looked in the fish's mouth, and that that's what was in the fish's mouth. He had taken this swim bait off the floor of my boat and rigged it up on a jig head. And it was all tore up, but it was good enough to get another fish out of it.
Hey.
But yeah, so this little sucker right here, if you guys haven't checked out Hawgz Custom Bait, you know, they're a local company. There's a lot of companies out there, but sometimes it's cool to show these local companies some love. And this is unique. It's got that grub tail, and they just don't see a grub that much anymore. But it's still got that shad kind of body, you know, like the swim bait type of body, but with that grub curly tail. And it's cool. It runs in the water real good. What I do is it's got this little fin on the top. I just been cutting this off so the jig head, the hook comes up through there, and it fits perfectly on like a size 3/0, 4/0, whatever you want. It'll hold. Okay. I think 4/0's probably as big a hook as you want to put on this thing. But great looking bait. If you guys are interested, get a hold of them on Facebook.
Yeah,
make a lot of different colors.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that. I've got a bunch of the same thing that he did up for me in perch pattern, and they look absolutely phenomenal. I haven't thrown them a lot yet because it's been so warm here. We kind of skipped right into spawning season when the season started. So it's been drop shot and head rig on the bed and whatnot. Other than when you were here, that few cold days we had, we kind of were able to fish some edges normally. But that swim bait, that perch colored swim bait, I know is going to work as these fish, you know, slide out from the spawn and start to gather up on the normal spots. I know they're going to hit it. It's just, it looks too good. So they do some really good work there. Really good work.
Yeah, he did a great job on those. And of course the underspin, you know, this is that Cumberland Pro underspin. You guys have followed my channel, you hear me talk about it, but it's getting that time of year where you're starting to see some of these fish in the post spawn. They're starting to move out a little bit deeper, and you'll find these little schools of fish that are ganged up, and a swim jig, actually a swim bait, you know, a little 3-4 inch swim bait on a 1/4 ounce head or an underspin. This is a 3/8. I throw a 3/8 most of the time. I like to throw it on 12-pound test, the medium heavy rod. Actually a medium rod. I got the 7-foot medium Veritas, but it's kind of it's a heavier medium rod, so it's kind of in between a medium and a medium heavy. But that was getting it done, man. I caught we caught all our weight except for that one that we upgraded on this underspin right here. I had a 4, I think like a 4. It was almost a 4.59, I think it was, something like that. It was bigger than I thought, and then I had another small over. But man, you know that. You know, we didn't get a check, like I said, but we fished. We were able to fish like we wanted to, which was out off the bank, doing some graphing, finding a school of bass that had just got out there offshore and just catching suspended fish. You know, some of those fish were down on the bottom, you know, or slow rolling that underspin, just coming off the side of that point, and then it would load up. But then there were some, you know, I started seeing some out there in like 10. So you kind of count it down and just kind of swim it through them. And I hadn't really got on that bite since last fall. So it just felt good to get on that bite for sure. So yeah, let me give a couple shout outs real quick. I've been thinking about a couple things and I need to start mentioning them a little bit more. But Cumberland Pro, American company, all their stuff's made down in Georgia. If you're looking for something that's a little bit different than a lot, you know, that's something you go buy at Walmart or wherever, check out Cumberland Pro. They're on Tackle Warehouse, Omnia Fishing, a couple different places. You can just Google them, check them out. They make a lot of good stuff. They got good jigs, they got good underspins, they got a Magnum shaky head that's killer, and they just I know I'm doing some house cleaning right here, but they just came out with a standard size shaky head, and you know it's similar to everything else on the market except it's got a flat head on it. But I don't think these are for sale yet. I just got some of these the other day, but I'll be playing around with those, so you'll be seeing some of those. But great company. I think that they deserve a look by you guys out there. And then one more thing I wanted to mention is Omnia Fishing. You know, they're a company out of Minnesota, and a lot of cool things about them. The first thing that's really cool is if you call them and you order by, I think it's 1 or 2 o'clock, they ship that day. Okay. And then they offer the free shipping over, I want to say it's like $50 or something, but you don't have to wait. Tackle Warehouse is backed up like 2 or 3 weeks. And if you want to get it like within 5 days, you have to pay $11. Omnia Fishing, we live right here in the Midwest. They're right north of us. it's going to take like 2 days to get here. You know, so it's a good option. They don't have the selection that Tackle Warehouse does, but they're getting
there though. They're getting better.
They're getting there. They're adding stuff all the time. And it's their goal is to just continue to get bigger and bigger, but good quality products on there, and the shipping time. You know, I don't like the ideal of some company offering me free shipping and then you have to wait 3 weeks for it, you know, and then, but for $11, you can get it in 3 days. I mean, I kind of know how things work, and I think they could get it to us sooner. But anyway, you're not going to find that with Omnia. They're gonna get it sooner and support the smaller guys. Just wanted to throw that out there for you guys to check out. So that's all I got to say about that.
I was reading some of the comments as you were going through your stuff there. Jay Bethel was asking about spawn versus post spawn. Right now, I mean, if you have to catch fish today, I mean, right now it's a spawn deal. And when it's post spawn, it gets it does get slower. It gets tougher. They go through a funk just like they do everywhere else on post spawn. But they start to group up again. So, you know, that's the plus. And so there's usually a good top bite. Tough up here is relative to a tough day up here is going to be a pretty good day down home. So, but right now it's dead on spawn.
What's up, Wade? Good to see you on here. Yeah, here's Dave. Okay, Dave's been sending me all these pictures and these texts. So he's caught
a good number. 134 fish.
4 trips at Egypt, fishing 5 hours at a time. 90% were on a chug bug. So sounds like if you go to Egypt, you definitely want to have a popper or a chug bug in the boat and be keeping that sucker in your hand. So there you go on that. Yeah. Jay said, is Kincaid getting any better? I don't know, Jay. I left for Mille Lacs on Tuesday morning, and I went to Kincaid on, it was either Sunday or Monday, and it was one of the toughest days I'd had over there. I think I caught 3 or 4 fish. Didn't catch a keeper. They were small fish. It was so bad. I did video, and as soon as I got home, I just deleted it all. Wasn't even worth messing with. Wow. Yeah, it was tough. But the mats are really looking good over there. You got topped out mats. You got cheese. It just, you know, I punched a lot of the secondary points and stuff. It was just, they just weren't biting for me. But the grass looks good over there. I mean, I don't, you know, it's not going to be around that long because typically it gets up there and then the pleasure boaters start coming and ends up kind of disappearing for a while until the fall. So
I see. If it's tough now, it won't be. The Kincaid's a good lake. I mean, it's, you know, if they're not biting now, they won't be long till they do. There's too many good fish in that lake.
Yeah, it's one of the. I think it's. I'm not going to say it's the best lake in Southern Illinois, but it's certainly right there for sure. It's got a lot of good quality.
If you look at the tournament results, it'd be hard to argue that there's a better one, really. I mean, Cedar's right there, but you know, you got the slot to deal with, and but yeah, Kincaid's got to be towards the top of anyone's list. I mean, the fish are there.
Definitely. Jay says he runs on the Hawgz Swimmer's grub tail. He runs a 3/0 right through the top fin. Works perfect for the alignment. Okay. I just sliced that fin off, man. So I guess you can do it either way. It runs fine with the fin sliced off. You lose a little bit of that fish look, but it doesn't matter. They still hit it. Jay wants to see those shaky heads. Yeah, let me take them out of the pack real quick. I just got these the other day. I think they're like sort of prototypes. I'm not sure. So that is them. They got a flat nose on them. I got the screw lock. I don't know if you can even see these. Maybe it'll focus. That's a little bit better.
Is that a 3/0?
I think it is a 3/0. It's a little bit longer hook. Okay. And it pairs up good with like a Zoom trick worm or something. Pairs up pretty good. But I fished it a little bit. I haven't thrown it a whole bunch. I threw it at Mille Lacs a little bit. You know, I didn't get hung up too bad. But I'll be playing around with that. Just you know, they needed a standard shaky head. They got that big Magnum shaky head, which is a great bait as well. And Isaac was wanting something a little bit more finessey, a little something smaller. So I think these are coming in 1/8, 3/16 and quarter, I do believe. And they're going to be black and green pumpkin, the two head killers. So they'll be out pretty soon. You know, one thing about Cumberland Pro stuff is priced really reasonable too, which, you know, that's everybody.
These days, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And it's available. You know, he's doing all the stuff in-house, made in America, and he's getting it out as fast as he can. And he's pretty much on top of things. There's a little bit of a back order on some of his swim jigs on Omnia. They're a little bit behind, but he said that they've got an order coming like in the next couple of days. So they'll be stocked back up. So that's always good. Nick says, any info on Cedar? Only been once at the North Ramp. Thanks. Great page, sure. Yeah, thanks, Nick, for checking it out. Yeah, I was just telling Ron earlier, I fished a tournament last night at Cedar. And it was kind of, I mean, we caught a lot of fish. We probably caught 20 fish. So right now, I think you can do a lot of things. I heard some guys catching them on a frog. I heard some guys catching them on chatterbait. We caught our fish. I caught fish on a 6XD. Caught fish on an underspin and swim bait and a hard head. And then I put on a blue fleck power worm last night. Ron, I was thinking about it. It was about 8 o'clock. It was getting dark. And I'm like, what would Ron do? I'm like, I'm going to dig in there and find me a little 7-inch power worm. And I didn't have black, but I had blue fleck. And that's what I caught. Yeah, that's what I upgraded that under on. And we caught a couple more on that. So, yeah, I think, Nick, you can just kind of go over there and just kind of, those fish really relate to the grass and points. If you just go over there and fish, just fish points, just fish main lake points, and you just got to figure out where they're at in relation to the grass and just throw, you know, if you want to get bites, you can throw a speed crawl, baby brush hog, black power worm, blue fleck power worm, and you'll get bites if you just keep that in your hand. 1/4 ounce weight. But that'd be my suggestion. And the more you go, you start figuring it out.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. That's a good thing about Cedar. It's not a tough lake to, you know, maybe not to win a tournament every time, but it's not a tough lake to pattern a little bit just to be able to go catch a few fish.
Yeah, Wade, you're exactly right. Johnny Morris is buying up the world. I haven't bought anything from Bass Pro Shops in years. I don't even consider them anymore. It's, you know, I used to be when you get the big catalog every year, I'd go through it and I'd
and you when you place, you'd call and talk to some nice lady on the phone who would take your order, and you'd be flipping through the magazine, and those were the good old days, man. But
yeah, Cabela's was the same way.
Yeah,
I just, you know, I've been in their store a few times in the last couple of years, and everything's a couple bucks higher. It seems like, you know, just a little bit higher. So I've always it's just been Tackle Warehouse or Omnia Fishing or
the other one I use is I use Land Big Fish also.
Land Big Fish, yeah.
And they'll send you that order pretty quick. It's not like Tackle Warehouse. And I'm guilty of Tackle Warehouse. If I'm ordering something, I need it, and I always just pay the second day air or whatever it is. But yeah, they get you for 11, sometimes more money than that on shipping.
Yeah, no kidding. So Tom, I guess we'll get back into Mille Lacs. Tom was wondering, how's the North Waters? So I was thinking, let me just kind of just recap my trip a little bit, and then we can go from there once I get up there. I left Missouri at about what time did I leave? I want to say it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and the whole plan, it was like 4, I think. Anyway, the whole plan was to drive up to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and hook up with Rich from Hellabass. That's where he lives at. So I got up there about 2 o'clock and met him at his house, and then I jumped in the I think he's got an Expedition. Anyway, I jumped in his tow vehicle, and he had his boat in tow, and we drove to this small lake. It was a small. It was interesting. It was like kind of in a like a subdivision almost. And you drove through some houses and stuff, and then there was this parking lot that was separate from the lake. So you got everything ready up there in this parking lot, and then you drove down the hill and you launched, and then you had to drive back up the hill and park. And he told me there's about 100 lakes within 45 minutes of his house that sound like they were around 500 acres, maybe a little bit bigger, and they're all pretty good, which blew me away. But this was this was a largemouth lake, and it had some grass in it, had some docks, and it was developed all around it, kind of like Egypt, but not quite as many houses. But
Egypt looked good.
yeah, exactly. But it was fun. We caught a lot of fish. I think we had about a 20-pound bag, and I'll have a video. Rich did shot video that day, so he's gonna have a video, and then I'll have a video coming out sometime soon. And then so I fished till about dark, which was 9:30ish. It gets dark so late up there, maybe 9:30, and then I got on the road and I had a 2-hour drive up to Ron. So I got to Garrison, Minnesota about 11:30. And of course, Ron and Slim Shotty are in the back, around the campfire, just chilling, waiting for me to show up. And so I got greeted with the campfire and a beer, and we kind of caught up, and then we went to bed, and got up, kind of slept in because I was tired. And that's cool. That's one thing I learned about Mille Lacs is you don't have to get up at first thing in the morning to get out there. It's interesting. It's not like a lot of lakes around here. It seems like they bite pretty much all day once you find them, and that's one of the cool things I learned about Mille Lacs. So we didn't get up till 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then we got up and we went to the Spot Lock Cafe, and had a big breakfast. This place is called the Spotlight Cafe, and we kind of nicknamed it the Spotlight Cafe because we'd put her down on Spotlight there every morning and eat some food, get charged up, and go out and hit the water. And it was so talk about like Mille Lacs, about how the wind is and how important it is to pay attention to which way the wind's blowing, which way it has been blowing, and how do you make a daily adjustment to that? Because it seems like every day the wind was blowing out of a different direction while I was up there.
That's life on Mille Lacs. So you've got 132,000 acre swimming pool, basically, is what it is. It's a big oblong circle, and it's a relatively shallow lake. 40 feet is the deepest water in the lake, and there's not much of it. So when the wind blows, it gets rough. It doesn't take 10 miles an hour will make life on one side of the lake or the other kind of miserable. So every day it's just you pay attention to the wind. I use a little app called windy.com, and it's not always right. And Gabe and I had a day when it wasn't right. And then you plan your day according, whether if you got an east wind, which we have a lot of up here, which is interesting. We go to the east side and launch. If you have north wind, you go to the north side, and so on and so forth. And there's good public access, not big public access, but there's good public access all around the lake. And that's what you do. And you just have to have water literally on every part of the lake, because you don't know where you're going to be the next day. And that's part of the fun, really. Gabe got to see a pretty good section of the lake. I don't think we got on the west side, though, did we? I know we were north. I know we were south. I know we were east. I'm not sure we got west, but I think that's life on Mille Lacs.
I think the day we were on the, what was it, the east side. And remember the day when the wind switched, like the forecast?
Yeah, then we went. Yeah,
then we ran all the way west, but we stopped at
Miramar,
Miramar. Yeah,
Miramar. And we ended up fishing north, and it was interesting that day. We had the fish just don't always jump in the boat here. Seems like when you look at the pictures, but we put in at the east side, and so did everybody else, because that's the wind was forecasted out of the east pretty strong. And like a couple hours into the day, we only had like 2 fish in the boat or 1 fish in the boat and a couple bites. And then the wind shifted out of the northwest or west, I don't remember. And so everyone went scrambling to the east ramp to get out of there before it got bad. And we trailered up to the north end, and it ended up being just the right thing to do. We ended up catching a good number of fish. But yeah, that's life on Mille Lacs, and it's part of what keeps it fresh. It's because
Right.
it's a little bit of unknown every day, and it's so it never gets boring. Not that catching smallmouth gets boring, but there's always something different to look at all the time. So that's how we start every day, is playing the wind and going to whatever ramp we need to go.
Zach says the fish are starting to stack up in the aerators on Perry County Lake. So that is good news. Yeah, and it was really cool how there are all those offshore reefs on Mille Lacs. So most of the time we slid up shallow a couple times. I remember that one sandy area outside of that marina. We kind of eased up there to look at it, and we saw a few fish kind of cruising around. And then another time you kind of showed me some of the docks. But majority of the time, you're at least, seems like you're like 1,000 yards off the shore, but pretty much that's
fishing the bank up here.
Yeah. and you're in 3 foot of water a lot of times, 3-4 foot of water. There's all these reefs and these rock bars and stuff out there. And another thing that blew me away is how well those smallmouths can hide. Because around here we're used to looking for light spots, and it took me, I don't know if I ever got used to it, but I started kind of getting used to it, looking for black spots instead of sand colored spots. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a little dinner plate, and it's black. And we didn't have the greatest water clarity, and we didn't do it. We didn't do it a whole bunch. I think the first day we did it a little bit, but we didn't actually spend a whole day just bed fishing. So I didn't quite.
And that wasn't part of that was weather related too. We didn't have and we had that big huge cold front. We had one day that was highs were never out of mid 40s, and we had wind every day, and you didn't get to see it like it's been the last couple of days, hot and calm. So but we did get on that one little, your first wasn't your first fish you caught up here, bedfish, like that 410 or whatever it was?
I can't remember, man. We caught so many fish. I went through thinking about the days, and they all run together because they were all different, but one way or another, we ended up having a good day. Even the day, I think it was that Thursday was a tougher day. It was really tough.
Day where the wind changed. That was our toughest day.
But at the end of the day, we ended up catching a bunch of fish. It was just we had to keep moving around until we found them.
Yeah, we just had to work for them a little bit. But yeah, that's a tough day. I think we had 19 or 20 smallmouth, not including the walleye and stuff, and we had one right at 5 and then a couple more at 4. That was our tough day. So that kind of, you gotta, I'm pretty blessed when that's a tough day. Down home, if I'd have caught 20 bass and I had a 5 and a 4, I'd have been posting on Facebook what a great day I had.
It's a solid day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And back to those beds. So you can't even see the fish on those beds. It's weird. So you're looking down at, a black spot, and you flip your drop shot in there, and then all of a sudden your line starts moving off to the right or the left, and a fish has picked it up. And that's one thing that really amazed me about that lake, how well those smallmouth can blend into their environment. You're looking right at them, and unless they move, you typically don't see them. At least the days we were up there, they were really hard to see. But you flip in there, and boom, there'd be one on there. Crazy.
Yeah, it's Yeah, you'll be up again, hopefully, and hopefully we'll hit a day where we can do that a little bit more, and then you'll get that dialed in really quick. You just didn't have a lot of good opportunity to do it, but we made up for it. The trip we had, first 2 days, the weather was okay. Then that third, or was it the second day? What day did it get really cold?
That was
the third day?
Wednesday, I thought. No, wait.
Second day?
Thursday, second day.
Yeah. And that ended up, despite it being cold, I thought that was a blast. You had that. Tell them the story about your self-imposed double when you dropped your Ned rig in the water when you were holding your other fish.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. Let's get back to Shane here in a second. I got a little bit of information on Cedar Lake. If I don't answer you, Shane, if you're still on here, repost that comment so I won't forget. So Ned rig was the deal up there. No doubt about it. I mean, I went through a lot of different baits and Ron just whacking them on a Ned rig. And I'm going through my jigs and I'm going through my shaky heads and I'm going through this and that. And, Ron just like plink. So he's like 6 or 7-0 on me before I'm like, all right, give me the dang shaky or dang Ned rig. And so that was the deal. We caught most of the fish were on that Ned rig. So I can't remember what day it was, second or third day, maybe. I think it was the third day, but anyway.
It was the cold.
It was the cold day. Okay, so second day. So I'm fishing this Ned rig, and I get a bite. Boom, I load up. So it's another 4-pounder. It's just it's hard to believe, but that's almost an average size fish up there. It seems like 8 out of the 10 that you catch are like 4 pounds or better. It's crazy. A 7 out of 10 maybe. It seems like at least
a lot of those are post spawn 4-pounders.
Yeah, they were potentially 5+ pounders. So I get this fish up to the boat. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And I'm running video. I got a chest cam on. I got my YOLO Tech power stick on the back of the boat. So I pull this fish up, take the Ned rig out, drop the Ned rig in the water, and I'm just kind of holding my rod in my hand. I walk over to the camera on the back, and I'm talking, doing my thing, showing the fish to the camera. And then all of a sudden, in my other hand, I got my rod in the other hand, and I feel something pull down on the rod. And I'm like, what the heck? I thought maybe I was snagged. And so I pull up and it's pulling down. It's a fish. So here I am. I'm trying to reel.
4-pounder.
Yeah, I got a 4-pounder in this hand. There's a 4-pounder on the line. And I'm trying to reel with a 4-pounder in my hand. And finally I get it up enough to where Ron can net it. And he hands it to me. So I'm sitting here holding 2 4-pounders talking to the camera.
That's in the picture on Facebook where Winning Edge Fishing did the nice thing, about the show tonight, and Gabe's got the double. That's those 2 fish.
That's those 2 fish. Those were not fish that we put in the live well and then just pulled over to do a picture shoot. Those happened right then, just like that. Unbelievable.
We never put it. Well, it was still catch and release season anyway, so we couldn't have. But we never put a fish in the live well for any. Didn't have to. I mean,
no,
just yeah.
No,
yeah.
You
so the size of the fish, the impression that left on you, the quality, the general quality, Gabe, what was your impression there?
I was blown away. Like you mentioned earlier, if you'd go, just having a 20 fish day is a pretty good day. And, of those, you have a couple days where you catch 20 fish. There'll be a 4 mixed in there, maybe not even every time. Like if you go 3 times, you might not catch a 4-pounder. You might catch a couple 2.5s, maybe a 3, 3.5. But so that's a good day. But the amount of 4-pounders that we caught, it got to the point where you would catch a 3.5, which is a big smallmouth. And it was like, it was never a disappointment, but it wasn't much to look at. And then it got to the point where you're like, it's just another 4-pounder. And you forget that it's a 4-pounder. It just looks normal
1,000%.
Until you start weighing them. And we weighed a lot of fish. When I'm doing my videos on my channel, I don't weigh. I very, very rarely do I weigh fish. I just kind of look at them and I admire them. And to me, it doesn't matter what a fish weighs. It's a nice fish. It's a good quality fish. It could be a 4-pounder. It could be a 6.5, almost 7-pounder. It's just a quality fish. But we were weighing a lot of these fish. We were bumping them. We were just kind of trying to get a gauge on them.
As a reference point.
A reference point. And you'd slap a fish on the scale. And it's weird. It was like an illusion. We were so used to seeing 19-inch fish that it felt like you were catching 16-inch fish. But then you put them down on the board and they're like 19 inches. And you put them on the scale and they're like 4.6, 4.3, 4.14.
Cookie cutter 4.6.
It was unbelievable. You were just catching so many of them that they looked like slot fish on Cedar Lake. It was nuts. And then
every one of them would have been an over. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're smallmouth. And they're that tall, So that blew me away. That blew me away that you got so used to seeing that quality of fish that it just looked normal. But then when you did hook a better than average fish, you knew that was better fish too. We caught several over 5. My biggest was 5.12. So I broke my PB. My former PB was, let me see if I can put this camera up there, is that smallmouth right there on the wall. That came out of Kentucky Lake, and that was a 4.8. So I caught the first day, Ron. The first day I caught a 5.12 on a jerkbait. So I blew my PB out of the water big time. And then I managed to catch, I think I caught a 5.6, I caught a 5.2, maybe a 5.1 and a 4.15. I mean, I broke that old PB like 5-6 times
every day.
Or something. Every day I broke it, And you had,
I don't know how many 4-pounders you caught.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. So I mean, it's definitely a place that if you guys have ever been thinking about going in to visit Mille Lacs, I 100% would do it. It's a long drive. It was 12-hour drive. It was well worth it. And yeah, the quality is unbelievable. It just really is. It's unbelievable. Anytime you can catch, I mean, like that last day I think we caught 29 smallmouths, and I know 20 of them were well over 4. A lot of them were mid 4.5, something like that. And then you got your walleye mixed in there too, and then your rock bass. And so
yeah, you don't use going. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, speaking of rock bass, it reminded me of that school of rock bass we found on your active target. And
that was cool.
Ago. Yeah, so tell them that story. That was a good time.
Yeah, I got active target now on my boat, forward facing. Forward facing sonar. Everyone's gonna have it sooner or later, but no, I'm not an expert. I'm just learning how to use it. The advantage I have is I get to look at it every day, and I'm slowly starting to figure out how I like to look at it and use it. But anyway, we're on the north end of the lake. It was the day we had to trailer to the north of the lake when the wind shifted. We're on a lot of the places where we caught fish. We were focusing on, when we weren't looking at bedfish, we were focusing on breaks that would go from like 4 to 8 feet of water. And it's always a rock sand transition on these breaks where these veins of rock would run the sand. And then hopefully there'd be some big boulders mixed. And so that's basically what we did for 4 days, just focus areas like that. So we get on this one break, and I got the boat facing into the wind. And I've got Gabe in about 2 footers. The wind was blowing a little bit. And that's also part of fishing. Is you're going to fish in some waves every once in a while. But anyway, on the forward-facing sonar, we see a school of fish. Gabe in the back of the boat, come up here, because he would never be able to access the back of the boat. Look at and you can see just clear as bell the school of, I don't know, 8 or 10 fish or whatever in front of us. I threw up there and I caught a smallmouth. Gabe comes up and he catches a rock bass. And then he catches another rock bass. And then he catches another rock bass. And what's cool on the forward-facing sonar is every time he would catch a fish, the school would get a little bit smaller as he would draw those fish to the boat. It was really cool. And it's so obvious what a good tool this can be in certain situations. But
it wasn't just me. It was you too. We were working on them, man. We were chipping away.
Yeah, we kept pitching in there until there wasn't any more to pitch. It was fun.
They were disappearing live.
Yeah. Yeah, it was live action TV.
That was pretty
And
fun. That was a good time. I had.
yeah, it's
Have you ever tried vector hooks? Nick's asking
no,
me.
I have
I haven't
not.
even tried vector hooks. I haven't tried vector hooks. I've
I
seen
don't
them.
know anything about them. Yeah.
Um,
I was
let
reading
me.
Dave post RD, our best 5-day in Egypt for 19 pounds. That's good on Egypt. That's really good.
Yeah, Dave's been hitting hard over there. He's
Yeah. He'll have to
somebody was
take us
asking.
fishing when I get back.
That's what I'm saying, man. Need to
Yeah. We're going to
get
jump in
over
a
on
boat with
Egypt.
Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, he was wanting to
Tell them
follow you
about our,
around.
speaking of bags, tell them about our 25-pound bag, your first 25-pound bag of smallmouth.
Yeah, I mean, we caught.
It
Was
was
that the
cold day,
cold?
wasn't it?
It was the cold day, I think.
It
Yeah,
was
we had
cold
over
day.
25 pounds that day. His first 25-pound sack. You know, and that's talking to Woody and Shoddy there. You know, when they have a tournament on Mille Lacs, and they don't have very many, but that's what you have to have. You have to have 25 pounds
Yeah. Yeah.
to even think
Yeah.
about
20
it.
pounds, you don't even weigh in.
No, you got to have 25 pounds or better. And I think one of the tournaments that he was talking about, it took 28 pounds, and those are all smallmouth. You know, there are a few largemouth in the lake, but you can't compete with the largemouth. You got to be catching smallmouths. But yeah, that was my first 25-pound plus bag of smallies, and it was. But gosh, we were right there every day.
But it didn't seem like a big deal, did it?
No, it didn't. It really didn't, because you got so used to seeing those big fish like that. It will spoil you. I mean, any one of those fish on Kentucky Lake, you would have just been proud to walk across the stage, and you know, like you really had something. And they still are something, even though they're in Mille Lacs. But it's just unbelievable how healthy that fishery is. Super Lake. Shane was talking about Super Lake, and I saw somebody else mention Goldeneye a while ago, and they were biting on Goldeneye. Yeah, I talked to my buddy Doug, and he was over there at Pyramid last week, and he said they were biting good. He had a really good day. Of course, Dave's been over there. Dave Palm's been over there and caught them really good. It's been kind of a. Doug said it was a little bit tougher to catch them up shallow, but he pulled off and he was fishing like that 15 to 18-foot zone, dragging like a shaky head. So he caught quite a few fish. He had decent numbers, and he had some 3s and 4s mixed in there, a few 3s and 4s mixed in there. So I think some of those fish are starting to maybe slide out a little bit deeper. And then Dave, we lost Ron, but he'll be back. Dave said he was catching them on multiple baits. You know, I think he said like a chatterbait, maybe dragging a worm or something over there on Goldeneye. But I think Goldeneye of the two, Shane, Goldeneye or Super Lake, I think Goldeneye is hitting a little bit better right now. So if I was going over there, that's kind of what I would key on. I had good days on both of them though. You know, when I was over there, the chug bug bite was on. They were just looking up, just catching them on top water. So that's a cool lake. Those lakes are all pretty cool over there. Yeah, Bass Guy says 132,000 acres. That could hide all 3 of the largest lakes in Illinois. It's a massive lake. It's like, when Ron gets back on here, he can give you the exact numbers, but I think it's 20. I think in the narrowest spot, it's 16 miles across, and then lengthwise, it's 26 miles. So you get out there. There's a couple times where you're out there and you can't see the other side of the lake. I mean, you cannot see. It just looks like you're out on the ocean. It's crazy. And then when you're on the windy side of that lake, it literally looks like you're down at Gulf Shores or something, or Florida. And the waves are actually rolling in just like you're on a beach. And you don't want to be out there in it. So you have to drive to whatever side of the lake that the wind is blowing in on, so you just don't get swamped. I mean, we fished in a little bit of rollers, but it wasn't too crazy. I mean, it was manageable. But if you were to fish on the side where the wind was blowing full blast, you just can't do it, man. So Phil's on here. What's up, Phil? Just kind of touching on Goldeneye before you dropped out there.
Yeah, the internet died over here, so I had to jump on my phone.
Oh, okay. Phone sounds good though.
Good.
Yeah, Dave said he said his best 5 are pushing 19 pounds. That's pretty good. Haven't
It's
heard
really
those
good
kind
on
of-
Egypt.
That's really good on Egypt. Phil's going bluegill fishing tomorrow.
Yeah, the bluegill bedded up at home.
I just was down at the pond a while ago. I was picking up sticks from that storm, and I started. They're kind of hanging around. They're there. They're not. I haven't seen like the massive influx of bluegill beds on this little pond behind my house. I got a 5-acre pond back there. I haven't really seen them. I saw them come up about 3 weeks ago, and then they're kind of. I don't know. You know how it gets where you just walk down a pond bank and you see them everywhere a lot of times. Yeah. I haven't seen that. So I guess maybe it just depends on what body of water you're on. We got Kyle on here. What's up, Kyle?
I always enjoyed bluegill fishing at Little Grassy. They've got some really nice bluegill at Little Grassy, and I've taken Claire down there before with a tube of crickets, and I think that's one of the best eating fish there is good old mess of bluegill. That's hard to beat. I like those better than crappie, actually.
Eric said he lost almost. Oh, he says he has lost a rod on Table Rock doing the exact same thing. I think he's referring to me when I had the Ned rig hanging over the side of the boat and that smallmouth grabbed it. Yeah, I tell you what, when I was at Cedar yesterday, we were around the right fish to do a whole lot better. I was seeing some good size returns, and there was a couple times where I was measuring fish or something. I can't remember what I was doing, but I had the rod down in the water hanging over the side of the boat, and then I'd see a good school of fish go underneath the transducer, and I'd step on my rod because I was worried about one of those fish grabbing it and pulling it in the water. Let's see. Phil says there's an open tournament on Clearwater Saturday morning from 5 a.m. to 12. So if you guys are looking to jump in an open tournament on Clearwater, there you go. It's probably fishing pretty good right now. That's a good, that thing's got some really good fish in it. Kyle says Vector makes awesome hooks. That's who supplies all of his hooks. So Kyle's a fan of Vector hooks. So here's Hellabass. What's up, Rich? We just kind of talked about our little trip that we had and how we both shot some video. How many walleyes did you guys catch? Well, that brings us to the other thing I want to talk about. The other bait besides a Ned rig that was working really good for me was a jerkbait, and not just any jerkbait. It seemed like they wanted this one color, and this is a Spro McStick, the 110.
I learned something on that.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I did too. So this color is called Ghost Magic Purple, and this is a real popular color on Table Rock. And when I was down there fishing the BFLs, I bought a couple of them. So I took them up to Mille Lacs, and it's got this. Let's see if I can do this thing. It's kind of got a little bit of light purple on the top. It's translucent, and then on the bottom, it's kind of white. It's blown out. I don't know if I can get in here closer. Can't really see it. But the cool thing, so it's kind of like a Pro Blue, but everything's softer than a Pro Blue color. Like if you're familiar with the Mega Bass, the Pro Blue. But the cool thing about this bait is this head. It's got a chrome head, and that camera's not doing it any justice, but it's got a little bit of a flash. It's not overbearing. It's just got a little bit of chrome in there. It's got a couple different colors. I mean, I'm kind of halfway colorblind, but this is what they wanted on Mille Lacs. They wanted this jerkbait for whatever reason. You know, I went through a couple different jerkbaits and wasn't really getting any kind of response. And when I put this thing in my hand and just kept it in my hand, I started catching the crap out of those walleyes. Back to what Rich was saying. I think that Wednesday when it was overcast and cold, I know I caught over 20 walleyes. You know, that's just what I counted in my head. And then I lost this jerkbait on what I thought was a rock. You know, I was working it and loaded up, and I pulled into it. I thought it was on a boulder. It snapped me off, and then next thing you know, here comes another 4-pound smallmouth jumping up out of the water, and you can clearly see this jerkbait in his mouth. So if you guys make a trip to Mille Lacs and you catch a a 4-pound smallmouth with a jerkbait. This is my jerkbait.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it. I thought my jerkbait gig was over. And I bought 2 of these, right? But I thought I only brought 1 of them because I just took, I didn't take a lot of anything. I just kind of took some random things. But sure enough, I had put that other jerkbait in the exact same color in my box. And so I continued to throw that thing around and catch fish on it throughout the rest of the trip. And then day 4, the final day, I think I was a victim of a toothy critter, of a muskie. Not 100% sure, but my rod got heavy just for a second, and then it just went limp. And whatever was on there just sliced my line clean. And I don't think it was a walleye because I hadn't been getting broke off by walleyes unless it just got it just right. But I think that old muskie.
I think it was a big toothy critter.
That's what I'm thinking.
And it could have been a big northern too. Every once in a while they'll show up out there on those reefs if the bait fish are out there. And but needless to say, that jerkbait was working, and that's not a color I've thrown here, but it was definitely getting. And I think that jerkbait had the right action to it also.
That's another thing I wanted to touch on real quick. The cadence of the jerkbait. I saw a lot of guys throwing jerkbaits. It was no secret that they're smallmouth and the water's still somewhat cool. It was low 60s, so jerkbait was a player. But I didn't see, at least the guys that we were around fishing jerkbait. I didn't see anybody catch anything on them. I'm not saying that they didn't, but they were fishing slow. They were kind of fishing how we would fish when the water is still in the mid 40s or high 40s. So they were jerk, pause, twitch, pause, twitch, twitch, pause. And I saw probably 5 or 6 different boats doing that, throughout the course of a couple of days. And maybe that was working for them. Maybe it just wasn't at that moment I saw them. But what I was doing was I was moving a lot faster. So I was twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, pause, twitch, 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 pause, twitch, pause. I was boogieing it. I was thinking of Kevin Van Dam, how he really rocks that. And, jerking it down and then bring your rod back towards the bait. Throw slack in it. So twitch, twitch, back. You're starting right here and you're always ending right here. So you're like that, back. And that's real important on a jerkbait, especially when you're moving it fast to make it really do this. So I think that was key to just triggering those reaction strikes, making them come up off the bottom because most of those fish were sitting on the bottom, especially the smallmouths. And I caught a fair amount of smallmouths on the jerkbait too. A lot of times I think those walleyes are out there kind of suspended. They'll be on the bottom, but I think a lot of the fish that we saw on the active target that were suspended, it seems like some of those were walleyes for sure. So, some of the walleyes were up swimming around, but I think I was still drawing some of those smallmouth up off the bottom with that crazy, erratic action of that jerkbait. And I tried a couple other jerkbaits. I tried the 110, the Megabass, the Vision 110, and it's got a different action. They just didn't seem to want that action. It's a little more crazy. It does this a little bit more where that McStick is kind of like this. I mean, if you throw them out side by side and start working them fast, you'll see it's plain as day that they've got a different action. And they just wouldn't, I threw a Pro Blue, which is not too terribly different than this Ghost Purple. It's in the same neighborhood enough to, I think, that if it would have had the same, basically if I had a Pro Blue McStick, I think I still would have been able to catch the fish. But I think it was the action just as much as it was the color. So, I think if you go up to Mille Lacs, man, I'd pick up some of those because I'm a believer, and I'm going to be throwing a jerkbait all year long this year. I'm going to kind of incorporate it into my suspended fish, my offshore, those schooling fish and stuff. I've got that underspin. I've got a small swim bait, but I'm gonna have that jerkbait on deck, for sure all year long. So I'll be playing around with that sucker. But yeah, walleyes, I think 26 inches, maybe 27 inches is the biggest one I caught.
All right. I don't think you really bumped anything, but that's probably right.
Your volume's a little bit low, Ron.
Volume's low?
There, I can hear you. Yeah.
Better?
Yep.
I think I had my finger over the mic thing.
Yeah. Rich has been a smart ass. He says, wait, the DNR says there are no walleyes left in Mille Lacs. So I guess they're not. I guess these were artificial walleyes. I know they got a.
In the North
You can
Lake.
just keep one. What is it? One walleye. They got to be between 21 and 23 inches, I think.
23, and that's over. That ended Monday, and now it's catch and release only till July, and then July you can't target them at all. They don't allow live bait on the lake, other than like 8-inch suckers or something like that you can use for muskie. And then I can't remember. In August you can target them again, catch and release, and then in the fall you can keep one again, something like that. Very, very, very restrictive. And to give people an idea about the number of walleye that are in the lake, we have these. Mille Lacs is very unique. We have launch boats on the lake, just like you would have charter boats on the Great Lakes, or if you went ocean fishing, we have these big launch boats that'll take, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 people out at a time. And during opening week, they were catching sometimes up to 200 walleye in a 4-hour span. And not working very hard to have to catch 200 of them. Mm-hmm. And it's an amazing number of fish are in the lake. Yeah, Hellabass. Yeah, that is true with, and I won't name names, but there are specifically 2 charters in the lake that do target, or I've seen target smallmouth. But a lot of them do it right, though. A lot of the charters do go out and do it correctly. The ones that do it correctly, Garrison Sports does it correctly. A great little store. Nitty's Hunters Point does it correctly. McCoy's does it correctly. And there's some others, I'm sure. But yeah, a couple of the charters will target the smallmouth and keep them.
So I want to do a little poll here. You know, we got 24, 25 people in here. Would you call a 4.999 pound bass a 5-pounder? Leave your comments. I'm really curious. Just something I wanted to throw out there and get you guys' opinion on that. So right now the fish are on the beds at Mille Lacs, and then it's gonna start changing. What's gonna happen when the fish are done spawning? What changes? What do you start looking for? Do they stay in the same area? Do they just vacate, or what are you looking for coming up real soon?
The answer is yes to all of that in a way. The males, they're stuck guarding fry for a while, so the males will stay. They'll be in the spawning areas for a little while. But then one of the things that happens is invariably we're going to have a big mayfly hatch, and maybe another big midge hatch, and bugs like you've never seen bugs. And the fish feed on, when that happens, it's what the fish gorge themselves on. And it's kind of their nature's way of helping fish recover from the spawn. So long story short, there's going to be a topwater bite that develops pretty soon, sooner rather than later. And there's probably already a little bit of a topwater bite. I've heard a little bit about that. The males will not be too far from where they are now. They'll kind of get on those shallow reefs. We'll catch them on hair jigs, which Gabe finally did catch one, I think, on a hair jig one of the days. It's just a little, 16th to a 1/4 ounce marabou jig with a small number 2 hook in it. You just throw it out and you reel it in. That's all you do. You just reel it in like a swim bait, basically. And it does a really good job of imitating the larvae and the bugs. Some big fish are already probably starting to move out in that 10 to 15 foot range. And you'll fish the same types of reefs with the same rock sand transition, but you really start looking for boulders at that point. And some of the big fish will start to group up on boulders. And then, they can be targeted, a lot of different ways: swim baits, Ned rig, football head jigs, drop shots, still, all that comes into play. And you can catch fish all summer long There's fish available from 4 foot to probably 16 or 17 feet all summer long, really. And then in the fall, they'll start to really group up. And then, by the end of fall, they're heading back out to their wintering grounds, and which on this lake are, I don't know, 25 foot of water or so, maybe deeper, but there's not a lot of water. 25 to 30 foot's really deep on this lake. And they'll be in really, really big schools. The whole process just reverses. And, so right now they're really, really spread out because of spawn. And as we progress, the fish will slowly group up. It's a little different on every side of the lake. And that's the fun part of it, is every day we just see which way the wind blows and you get to go do something a little different.
Okay, I got to address this summary from Jay. Ron mentioned me catching my first hair jig fish. Okay, so on the very last day, I had some goals that I wanted to achieve, just because, just fun goals. If I didn't meet them, it was no big deal. All right, I'm on Mille Lacs catching 4-pounders, no big deal. So my first goal was to catch a Ned rig fish. My first fish was a Ned rig fish. Second goal was to catch a drop shot fish. Pitched up around a boulder, mid-morning, and caught me a 4+ pound drop shot fish. The third goal was to catch a jerkbait fish. Boom, got that. Caught the walleye and the smallie. Then the hair jig fish, same thing. And then the next goal was to catch 20 bass. Okay.
This was all on the last day, wasn't it?
That was on the last day, and we ended up catching 29 that day. So I accomplished that. And the last goal was to catch 1 over 5. And that was the first fish that I caught, and that was my Ned rig fish. So we're fishing boulders, right? And these just kind of isolated boulders. And I set the hook, and it's a big one. Got it in, we laid it down. It was 21 incher. It weighed 5.2. So that was my over 5 and my Ned rig fish. Later on the day, Ron loads up on a big one too on a Ned rig. He puts it in the boat, and it's a 5.1. So, as the day wore on, Ron was talking to somebody. He's like, yeah, Gabe caught a 5.1. I'm like, no, it was a 5.2. And he's like, well, why is it so big, such a big deal that it's 5.2? And I said, because you caught a 5.1. I caught a 5.2. So that's kind of what Jay's saying. It depends on if a 4.99 is a 5-pounder. Depends on what you just caught. But, and another thing that comes to mind was that time you had that walleye. So Ron hooks up with the walleye out there. And he's reeling it in. And there's a big smallmouth following it. And I'm pitching my Ned rig all around it, and it won't take it. It's focused on the Ned that's in that walleye's mouth, and it won't pay attention to my Ned rig. So anyway, he gets the walleye in, and I see this smallmouth just swim off, and it's a good one, and it's a real light colored smallmouth. It's kind of a little bit different looking, and it just kind of swims off nonchalantly, and it gets about 20 yards away from the boat. So I fire my net out there, and I pop it like once or twice, and it loads up, and I'm fighting this fish, and we get it up. And it's the same smallmouth that was just following that walleye. So that happens, several times. You get bites, throw right back to that same spot. Or if a fish swims off, throw right there, because they're aggressive enough that they don't move a whole lot, I don't think, and they'll bite again. That I remember that last day, that one fish, and you guys are going to see all this. I got like 36 hours of footage. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 5 different videos. I'm going to make 4 different Mille Lacs videos, and then the day when I was with Rich on Lake M. So, and I'll spread them out. So I won't get, it won't be like a Mille Lacs fest or whatever, but you'll see all these things that we're talking about. You'll see them come to life when I start dropping these videos. But I got bit by this one fish 5 times. And on the fifth time I'm making that cast out there, I hooked up with that sucker. So it slammed it, and I set the hook, and I reel it in. And this is another thing that Ron was teaching me. You get bit, don't reel your bait in, drop it again. Soon as you get bit, and if you set the hook and you miss the fish, let it fall, because a lot of times that fish will come back. And I don't think I've ever learned that. Maybe I did that a couple times, but most of the time I screwed up and I rolled it in. But I kept casting that fish, you know, he just kept biting. And the 5th cast to the same spot, I finally caught that fish. And it was a good fish. It wasn't like a, you know, like a 12-inch fish like we think of around here. It was a solid, you know, 3 3/4 pound bass. A lot of, I don't know, there's just a lot of things to pick up on that I learned over that, you know, the course of those 4 or 5 days. So I think the consensus is that a 4.999 pound bass counts as a 5. And so there you
go. It counts for Doc Talk.
I call it a 5, man, all day long. It's close enough. Here's Kyle's got a little report for Carlisle. He says that it's starting to get good. 60 to 80 fish in 3 days in a row. Deeper riprap, 6 to 10 feet with bluegill pattern cranks and swim jigs. So kind of some mid-diving crankbaits. Maybe like a DT10, I'm thinking. Maybe a Series 3 Strike King. And swim jigs, man. I like swim jigs for sure. Josh wants to know, has anybody been on Grassy lately? Anybody out there been on Grassy? I haven't heard anything about Grassy at all. Yeah, spoiler alert. We did pretty good. I kind of already mentioned a little bit about it. I didn't go too much into detail, Rich. But it was a good day for putting in and fishing like 3:30 to dark. And especially after having the day that I had on Kincaid where I only caught 3 fish. My next day was the day that me and Rich had. It was exactly what I needed. It was kind of like a welcome to Minnesota. Although the first fish I caught was like a 6-inch fish on a chug boat. So my first Minnesota bass was like 6 inches. It's disappointing. It got better from there though. Let's see here. Rich says the fish are largely post-spawn here.
I believe that.
And frog bite is starting to happen. It's definitely starting to happen around here. I've been trying to stay out shallow. I'm tired of fishing shallow. So I've been looking for, instead of looking for that frog bite, which I probably need to be looking for it, I'm looking for that offshore stuff. So I've been spending my time with the 6XD, 5XD, an underspin, that, and a big, like that Magnum shaky head, that kind of stuff in my hand. So, but I don't know. I need to probably start sliding up there shallow and try to get some frog fish. I did punch a little bit. Probably, when was it, that Sunday on Kincaid? But I don't know. I caught a few fish. I got several bites. They just weren't holding on to it. But I think there's plenty of fish up there in the grass still. Let's see. Yeah, I did. You did, Rich. I'm an experimenter. You know, I like to try different things. It's like I see the obvious, but hey, close one of those out, Ron. I think you hit that winch twice. Okay. No, I usually like to just experiment first before it becomes really obvious. Yeah, Rich was kicking my butt. Then I caught up with him. I surpassed him. He got me on weight. But all in all, it was a great day. And that's the same thing that happened with Ron up there in Mille Lacs. He was whacking him on that Ned rig. And I was going through a lot of different baits, just trying to find the secret bait that the Mille Lacs smallmouth had never seen. And it was just simple. It was a Ned rig. It was a 5th or 6 ounce blackhead. And we were throwing 2 colors. So green pumpkin was standard in pretty much every situation. And then that Wednesday, when it was really that cold overcast day, the yoga pants, wasn't that the color, yoga pants?
Yes, a little darker.
Darker. So it's kind of, is it black basically, or what color is that?
Almost. It's a very, very dark green pumpkin, basically. It's got a little black fleck in it, but on those same principles at home, you know, dark day, dark color. And I got three or four different colors to throw up here. Sunny day is peanut butter and jelly or green pumpkin. Green pumpkin always works. Peanut butter and jelly, though, is really good on a sunny day. Green pumpkins anytime. A cloudy day, green pumpkin. And if it gets, really low light conditions, that yoga pants really is a good player. And then you know, there's variations of other stuff, but that's really all you need. Um, and beyond that, it's really finding the fish. As Gabe will tell you, if we were around them, we were catching them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then if you weren't, then you really needed to move. Um, and that's the beautiful thing about the Ned rig here. It's so simple that you can kind of quit worrying about what you're throwing and focus totally on where you're fishing. You know, and are the fish here or are they not? Or are they biting here or are they not? And you just go, and it just really simplifies the day on the water. It's really about finding the fish. It's not about worrying about what you're throwing.
Yeah, the Ned rig makes you suck less for sure, Rich.
Yeah.
And listening to Rich, go check Hellabass out if you haven't. That's what took me a little bit to just commit to the Ned rig and know that it wasn't the bait. It was just that we weren't around the fish, and it's totally obvious after a while that if you were around fish, they were going to bite the Ned rig. And I think there was that one day, when it was really cold and cloudy, they really showed a preference for that yoga pants color.
Big time. Big time.
It was nice. Yeah, it was obvious that they wanted that darker color for whatever reason.
I think they could just see it better. Just showed up better to them, I think. They're such sight feeders.
That's good news. Josh says he caught some decent fish at Cedar Sunday on the Dual Realis jerkbait. That's cool, man. Yeah, I threw a jerkbait last night in the tournament to try to catch some of those suspenders, but I didn't have. I had a Dual Realis in my boat. I didn't throw it. I still had that mega bass on there, and they just didn't want that. And I just got these back in, the Spromic sticks back in today. I got them out of the mail when I got home from work, and I think they would have bit that. I mean, it's a confidence thing. Maybe I would have forced them to bite that, but it's good to hear that you're catching some on the jerkbait over there at Cedar. And then Rick wants to know, what lines do you guys punch with? Heavy fluorocarbon or braid? Rick, I'm 50-pound Power Pro when I'm punching, and I like to use the lightest weight that I can get away with. You know, early in the spring when the grass is kind of matted, maybe just kind of laid over, not real thick mats, you can get away with a 3/4, maybe sometimes a half, but usually a 3/4 is where I start if I'm punching. And then a 1 ounce will get me through most of the year around here in Southern Illinois and Southeast Missouri. You know, if you're down there, Gunnersville and Chick and Florida, where they got the big thick stuff, you know, it's not uncommon for guys to put a 2 ounce weight on, you know, maybe bump up to 65-pound braid. But 50s, you know, I throw my frogs on 50 and I punch on 50. And the thing with punching is there's a couple key things. One is obviously you want to peg the weight. And I like to use 2 bobber stops. I always want that weight pegged up. You don't want any separation between the weight and your bait. A round bend hook or straight shank flipping hook is key. You know, like a 4-aught, I think a 4-aught fits just about anything. If you're going to something like a BB cricket or maybe a speed crawl, or even a baby brush hog, I'll drop down to a 3-aught. But like for a beaver, a rage crawl, a burner crawl, D-bomb, any of that kind of stuff, a 4-aught is what I like. Just for whatever reason, I've had good success with it. And then there's the, do you snell the knot or do you not snell the knot? And that's, I would say 80% of the people snell the knot. I don't snell the knot. I've done it both ways, and I don't feel like I lose any fish by just doing a San Diego. I just do a San Diego jam knot. I don't even do a double San Diego jam knot. I just wrap it 7 times, slide it, and I punch a lot. I don't know. There's different theories on that cam action of the snell. So my opinion is if you're losing fish on one knot, go to the other knot and see if that makes a difference. But another important component is the rod. You want something with kind of a soft tip, but it definitely loads up and gets kind of meaty, you know, just not too far down the rod. Because I think what happens is you don't have any stretch in your fluorocarbon, right? So if you've got too stiff of a rod, if that fish comes out of the grass for whatever reason and throws slack in your line, you know, if you can't keep tension on that fish, because your rod is too stiff. A lot of times you're going to lose that fish because you've got a 1 ounce weight or 1.5 ounce weight. There's a lot of leverage. That fish starts shaking his head. And if your rod is too stiff, he's going to get some slack in your line. And a lot of times you're going to lose that fish. You're fishing a big hook. So there's a big hole in that fish's mouth. And you've got that. He's got the leverage from the weight. He's got a big hole to work with. A lot of times the hole is bigger than the actual barb on the hook. So it'll back out if you put any slack in your line. So, I started fishing. I got a 7'11". It's actually a 10XD rod. It's a Hawgz Custom Light rod. And it's not parabolic, but it's got a lot more tip than, say, a typical pitching and flipping rod. So you don't need, you don't have any stretch in that. So you don't really have to have, a pull cue to set the hook really hard. You can kind of just pull back on them and they hook, the hook will get driven home. But that rod needs to stay loaded up, I think it's really important, because you don't want any slack in that rod. And that little bit softer tip, a little bit slightly softer rod. It's a medium heavy rod. It's not a heavy rod. It's a medium heavy rod. It keeps tension on that fish. And I don't lose a lot of fish punching. There's days when you're going to lose them, but I don't think, I know it's not the rod. I don't think it's, not having the snelled hook. I think it's just some days they bite a little bit funnier. And what was the question? I got sidetracked. Fluorocarbon. No, just braid, man. If normally, if I'm just flipping, pitching normal stuff, sparse grass, 20-pound fluorocarbon is what I use. So that's my take on that. I can talk punching for another 30 minutes if we wanted to, but what's your opinion on that, Ron? Do you do much punching, or what do you think about all that?
I don't punch as much as you do, but when I do fish the prototypical heavy cover we're talking about in the weeds, then I do go braid. But I prefer, if I can get away with it, I prefer to stick with fluorocarbon. And some of the pros are listening to Gerald Swindle. He throws 20-pound fluorocarbon, period. And it's just he makes do with that. And his home lake's Gunnersville, so
yeah.
It's a preference thing, I think, and probably has a lot to do with the bait you're fishing and so on. But I guess the honest answer is I'm probably out in the brush pile in about 18 feet of water when they're doing that. So,
yep, I hear you. That's kind of what I've been doing lately. Andy wants to know, did the Spro baits ship through UPS or FedEx? It wasn't the Postal Service. I can't remember what the label was. I think it was UPS. I don't know. Anyway, they got here quick. Is
there anything special that needs to happen when UPS comes to the postman's house or anything? Is there any like code or special handshake or?
We're in the delivery service. No, but I tell you what, and you've seen this happen a couple times. Dogs know when a mailman walks by the truck or car.
Oh, that dog at the Spotlock Cafe.
2 times.
Twice.
2 different dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, he knew the mailman was there.
They can
lit him up when we walked by.
Yeah, he knew me. That's happened so many times. I had dogs barking in the woods. You'd be out on a quiet lake, and all of a sudden, here comes dogs running through the woods towards my boat.
The mailman.
My buddy is, I'm a mailman. I'm sorry, it happens all the time, man. What's up, Fishing with Fitz? Did a little live stream with him Friday on Ron's boat at Mille Lacs, and it didn't go like we planned because of the
tell him about how I was treating you while you were trying to do your live stream.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do this live stream with Fitz, and the plan was we were going to do a live stream out on the lake and actually catch fish live. I was going to probably be doing some fish, and I wanted to talk about some swim jigs, post-spawn swim jig stuff. And so the service was like 2 bars, but it wasn't enough. We just didn't have the data to pull off the video, so we had to do a phone chat, right? So Ron's catching them. I wasn't even on there for like 5 minutes, and he's already setting the hook. I think he caught 7 or 8 fish in the 30-minute conversation that I had with Fitz, and he's killing me because it was a little bit slow. And we'd actually moved. We made a little move to an area where we thought we'd get a little bit better reception. And sure enough, as soon as we sat down the boat, it didn't take long, and Ron was whacking on him. So, and he was slapping. I think he slapped me with smallmouth water.
I was letting it drip in front of you.
You were letting it drip on my head or something. I don't know. Just rubbing it in. But
they weren't big ones, at least. I wasn't being too mean. They were little guys.
It doesn't matter, man. You were still catching fish, and I was on the phone talking, and I needed to be up there casting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Rich says when I was fishing with him, there was a dog on a dock just barking at me, going crazy. Yeah, it happened. I get it everywhere, man.
That's funny.
I get it everywhere. I don't know what it is. You can just tell.
Yeah, no Spotlight Cafe, Gabe. And the dog was like in a car, like hidden from Gabe, and it didn't matter. You just hear this dog going crazy inside the car.
Yeah, I think the dog was sleeping.
Yeah, until you walk by.
It smelled me.
Yeah.
I think the window was cracked probably, and there was like a little whiff of mailman that came through the whatever, and boom, it happens all the time. Yeah, it followed us down the shore. It was trying to attack me. It's crazy. Hey, we heard a bobcat yesterday.
Really?
Me and Jerry at Cedar. There must be a lot of bobcats around that area, a lot more than I realized. But we were fishing. We were fishing short bank. You know, I'm talking short bank, right? There's long bank and then there's short bank. We were fishing that section, and we hear this god awful noise coming out of the woods, and it was I thought maybe it was a fox or something. It was a noise I hadn't heard before. It was just kind of, I can't describe it. It was just a noise where you're like, that's weird. I never heard that noise before. And it kept coming down the shoreline, but there's a lot of vegetation in the woods right now, so you can't see up in them. And then it went quiet for a while, and then we're fishing this laydown, and the bank's kind of undercut where this laydown is sitting. There's like kind of the roots are exposed, and then just a little bit to the right of that, there's another little clearing. And all of a sudden, I see this bobcat come down right on the bank for just like 3 or 4 seconds. And it was just walking through a little opening and then went back up into the woods. And there was a little opening above the root wad in the tree. And I kept waiting for it to come out. Because I told Jerry, I'm like, dude, that's a bobcat. And I said, watch up there by that root wad there in the woods. There's an opening. I think he's going to come through there. He never did. But it wasn't long after that, we heard that same noise up in the woods right above us. And that was, I don't know if that's like a mating call or what, but it was eerie. And, we had that one tournament last fall where we saw.
Maybe that's what bobcats do when the mailman's around.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. That's exactly what was going on. You can't take me anywhere, man. Even the bobcats.
Even the bobcats are lighting you up.
I don't think mace would work on a bobcat, though. I think
you can't go up in the woods, go to the bathroom. They'll get you.
Get attacked by bobcats. It's probably deer are probably next. Now I'm on pins and needles, dude. You got me nervous. But yeah, man, that place has got them. That place has got a lot of bobcats. I've seen pictures of them swimming across the lake.
Yeah,
trying to get in people's boats and stuff. Dave said he saw one catch a rabbit at Lake Fork. The rabbit was screaming like crazy, of course. Yeah, they're stealthy. They want to be. It's a big cat. They're aggressive. So, anything else you want to touch on, Ron, before we wrap this sucker up? You guys got any last-minute questions? The
only thing I say is that people that generally, if you get a chance to come up here, there's probably several lakes in the country that will qualify as, you need to go there once. You need to go to Mille Lacs once. It's just different.
Yeah, it is. It was. I learned a lot. I like that program. I like the whole scene there. I like the the Y, and then we went to JJ's Chicken Shack or whatever it was, and then we
Bird's Nest.
Try
dinner tonight.
Yeah, and then we went to that other bar or restaurant on the other side of the lake. What was that place called? The last
Mugs.
What was it?
We're at Mugs down south end.
Yeah, Mugs. We ate at Mugs. That was good.
Yeah,
I met a really friendly lady police officer, and so yeah, it's cool. You just got all these little places you can go in and hang out. Everything's friendly. That bartender at JJ's was trying to kill me. That was a fun night. We got to play some music too. You know, me and Ron plays guitar a little bit, and I play bass, and I hadn't played in a long time because I just been so focused on this YouTube stuff. So we went out and ate and stuff, and came back, and we jammed a little bit. Had a good time, and it was just cool because it was like you get off the water at 9:30, and you can even fish. You definitely fish later than 9. A lot of times you're kind of wrapping it up at 9. But by the time you get the boat loaded up, you get to dinner at like 9. Sometimes it was 9:45, maybe 9:30.
Yeah.
Kitchen closes at like 10. So you slide in there at the last minute. And then by the time you're done eating, it's almost 11 o'clock. And you get home and it's 20 after 11, 11:30. And you kind of just chill for a little bit. Next thing you know, it's like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so the whole ideal that you don't have to get up real early, you can sleep in until 8:30 or 9 is perfect, for that whole situation.
You don't miss anything.
Don't miss anything. And just do it all over again.
Yep.
Fun 4 days. Had a blast. I'm going to try to do it next year again.
Oh, I'm glad, and Jason's glad. We're all glad you made it up, and so glad you got to experience it.
Another thing before we go, if you want to support the conservation effort on Mille Lacs, there is the Mille Lacs Smallmouth Alliance. It's something, if you guys are wanting to just chip in, you can get a membership for $25 a year. And
Is it 20 or 25?
It's 20 or 25. I'm not quite sure.
One of the two. It's not much.
It's not much. It's a yearly membership, and the money just goes towards just a good cause in general.
Yeah, and I'll tell them a little bit what the money goes. A lot of it is education right now that it goes towards, and also scholarship money for some of these high school kids. On the highways, there's a couple billboards that have Sims is our conservation partner, our corporate conservation partner. I say ours. I'm not on the board anymore, but I was. And we've got a couple billboards on the lake that say "Free the Fighter," and sort of the alliance is trying to push catch and release, trying to change that culture up here a little bit. We've worked hand in hand with the DNR on a tagging program, which I got to be a part of in 2017, and have a lifelong friend out of that, and one of the biologists up here. They've given scholarship money out to some of the high school kids. So it's just a really good, the smallmouth really never had a voice up here before. They have a thing up here called MILFAC Committee. And it's centered around the walleye. And so through the efforts of the Alliance, the DNR has actually put money into studying the smallmouth. Creel limits have changed. At one point, there was 6 fish a day. Now it's down to 3, which is a step in the right direction. So it's places like this don't get preserved on their own. It takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of people being vocal, and the Alliance has definitely filled that role. And we got some good pros on board that support it. Josh Douglas, our local FLW touring pro, is on board with the Alliance and has a nice video where he contributed some of his time. And so all in all, just a really good thing to be involved in.
Yep, 100%. And I'd venture to say that if you ever do make a trip to Mille Lacs, you will want to join that for sure and give back a little bit, because what it's done and what that lake has accomplished as far as a fishery, I was just going to say smallmouth, but even the walleye it's unbelievable. You gotta go put that on your bucket list and get up there. It's very impressive. I mean, I'm sure there's several good smallmouth fisheries.
Oh yeah, this isn't the only one, but it's one of them.
It's one of them, and it's a good one. So it does need the funding and the support, because it kind of goes hand in hand. When the smallmouth fishery is that good, people are catching a lot of good quality smallmouth. And if you don't have a conservation effort in place, they can deplete that. They can lessen the lake pretty easily. If you get some knuckleheads that are keeping a bunch of fish all the time, and it doesn't take long to deplete a good lake if everybody's not playing by the rules and not playing fair. So it's good to have an organization that's creating awareness and getting the word out and fighting for smallmouth, because it's a treat. It's a really good treat.
I spent $25 on a lot worse things, that's for sure.
That's one megabass jerkbait.
Yeah.
And they don't even want the megabass up there. They want this one, and that's only 13.
Yeah, see. So half of your savings, 2 jerkbaits, you got your Alliance membership paid for.
And you get a sticker.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Oh, one more thing I'm going to say. And this was funny. Don't go on Memorial Day weekend, though, because the town of Garrison is somewhere between what we decide, 160 and 180. And
yeah, it's less than 200 population.
Less than 200.
Except for Memorial Day weekend.
Except for Memorial Day. And Ron told me it was Friday morning we were heading out, and he said there will be a line of traffic coming up from the Twin Cities. So on a normal day, it's just super light traffic. There's a few people milling around the town. It's not, especially around breakfast and maybe dinner, you'll see some traffic. But normally, in between those two time frames, it's not, the traffic's not bad. And he said you're going to see it. You're going to see a change. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He's like, there will literally be bumper to bumper traffic heading north from Minneapolis, St. Paul. And sure enough, it was crazy. It was just like car after car with trailer, with boat, and
we missed some of it. We were on the water.
But I saw enough of it to go, wow, this town of less than 200 is getting ready to bump up to like 10,000 people or something. It was crazy. So don't plan your trip around that weekend if at all possible. But I think any other weekend you'll be in good shape. So all right, man, we'll wrap this up. Ron, it's good hanging out with you. Thanks again for chauffeuring me around for 4 days. I had a blast.
Pleasure, my man. Glad you were here.
Yeah, it was a good time, and I'll be working on those videos so we can relive them again.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. Those are gonna go in the archives for sure.
Yeah, guys, before we go, check out Omnia Fishing for some quick turnaround time when you're shipping. Good products, good price and all that stuff, and the shipping thing is what jumps out at me. Cumberland Pro, check them out.
Hawgz Custom Baits. Yeah.
Hawgz Custom Baits. Get a hold of them on Facebook if you want some fresh plastics. They can customize your colors. It's a good quality plastic at a good price, and it's a good cause. It's a local company. And maybe I think we'll do this. I'm not sure if I'll be on next Monday, but probably next Thursday. So I will just watch the social medias, and I will keep you posted on what's going to go down.
Hey, Dave volunteered to take us fishing when I get back.
Oh, we got a guide trip by Dave?
Yeah, we're going to be in the back of the boat.
Okay, I'm going to have to go by Walmart and buy some more chug bugs. It's the only place that's got the baby bass.
The good thing is the smallmouth bite those too. Yeah. So maybe it'll be tore up a little bit. But yeah, we'll jump in the boat with you, Dave. I'd love to.
Definitely. Yeah, I think we could have got I think I could have got a topwater bite, especially that.
Oh, we could have.
That's why we saw where Josh Douglas was there, flipping or fishing those boat docks. I think
back shallow.
I think if I'd have fan casted in that flat, I think I might have had one roll up on it.
Yeah,
and that's another thing. Before we go, is you see a lot of pros up there on Mille Lacs. We saw Josh Douglas 2 or 3 days. We saw Andy White. Is that right? Is it the
Andy Young?
Andy Young.
Yeah.
Andy Young.
In the Keystone boat.
Keystone boat.
Yeah. Seeing a rat boat up here is just normal.
Yeah, you see a lot of those guys. Sometimes
a lot of guys up here filming, and there was a guy I talked to at the boat ramp when I loaded up. He was from Colorado, and he had an outdoor shop and had a rat boat. I don't know. I didn't know the guy, but I talked with him a little bit, wanted loading up, and you just see that stuff all the time, and license plates from all over the place in the parking lot, and pretty cool.
And a Vexus draws attention. I learned pretty much every day somebody came up and asked you about your Vexus, how you like it, nice looking boat. So I felt like I was a celebrity, you know, riding around in a Vexus. They're smooth riding boat though. They handle chop like nothing. Just like they're made for just a little bit of chop. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dave's saying that we might have to run your Vexus. His Bass Cat isn't the most roomy.
That's fine.
Yeah. That's
fine. As long as he runs the trolling motor, I'll need a break from the trolling motor when I get back.
Yeah. No Ned rigs in the boat either.
Well, maybe one.
Maybe one. Cool. All right, man. We're gonna shut this down. Ron, take care. Good luck out there. We'll talk to you guys.
All right, guide trip tomorrow. We're gonna go get after it.
Go get them, man. Get those betters while they're still up there.
Yeah.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right, later.